Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Raw and Unscripted with yours truly, Christopher Rausch, the place where I help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. And today we are on episode number 33. It is the part 4 of a 4-part series on New Year's resolutions and achieving your goals. It's something I started back in December, so I hope you've been keeping up and keeping along. And last week we had a great episode and a great session involving the questions to ask yourself, right? I try to attack these things because let me just back up. When you look on the internet, you can find anything that's going to tell you how to achieve your goals and everything. So when I look at these types of broadcasts and these types of projects, I try to think about it in ways that I can make you think differently about the situation, right? How can I make you look at it from a different perspective? That's what the show's about, is changing your perspective about your past, present, and your future so that you can have a different meaning and a different opinion and a different belief system about your life and the things that have gone on in your life, the both good and the bad. Obviously the bad, because you want to reframe the perspective of that to happening for you and not to you. So last week I gave you a list of great questions, got some feedback on it. I really appreciate it. So today we're on episode number 33 and the final installation of this particular program. And originally I was going to bring you some case examples of some people who have emailed me recently or clients that I've had that have had these different types of struggles. And I was going to give you some case examples, but I've kind of already done that in some of the episodes. So again, trying to be different and bring you value, I decided to say, okay, what are some of the common reasons why people don't achieve their goals or achieve their New Year's resolutions? So let's just cut to the chase of the reasons why, and perhaps I can give you some advice, some tips, some ways to look at things differently so that you don't fail, so that you don't quit, so that you don't give up on yourself, and that the Kickass 2020, which you know the hashtag Kickass 2020, so that you can be successful, right? This decade, I want you guys to really look at this decade as a brand new start and an opportunity for you to rebuild, repurpose all the things that have happened in your life so that this time and this year and the years moving forward from this, that you totally grasp and you gain the confidence through the trial and error of doing things and being consistent with things so that you do achieve whatever it is that you're going after. I know it works for me. Sometimes it's a slow process, but one of the things I've learned recently is instead of trying to be in control of every outcome, sometimes we have to surrender to what is happening and what is going to happen in order for it to be for our best interest, right? For me, being a control freak all my life, it's like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to achieve this and I'm going to do it this way. And this is the way it's going to work. And it's not going to work any different. And I'm just going to make it work. You know, it's like trying to hammer a round peg into a square hole. I mean, how many of us have been guilty of doing that? So in this show, I want to just sit there and take down a lot of the different reasons and excuses that I hear and I've actually experienced myself as to why we don't follow through on our goals. And so I want you guys to take notes on these things and let me know if you're watching this on the live broadcast on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm there chiming in and actually offering feedback. So if you guys are watching this live and you're commenting, I'd like to know what are some of the reasons that perhaps you have not achieved your goals if they don't fall in this particular list. So without any hesitation, let's just get right into it. Let's just get right into it. Again, I had to refer to these because they are written down. So there are no particular order, right? This is no particular order. This is just various reasons why we don't achieve our goals. So you could actually title this podcast, Reasons Why We Don't Achieve Our Goals. So again, no particular order. I just wrote these down as I was brainstorming. One of the big things I found is it's not really your goal, right? So sometimes we take on goals from other people we love, people we admire and we respect. We're trying to live up to a certain image of that perhaps they have of us, that they may not know the real image of us, or they may not know our real desires. In case in point, if it's your parents or if it's somebody that's mentoring you and they say, oh, you should go down this road, you should do these things. And you're like, okay, I respect and admire you, so I'm going to go ahead and do these things. Even though in your heart of hearts, you know you don't want to do it. And even though you're going to do it just to please them, and you maybe have 30% interest, like, okay, you know, I'll give it my best. But we talked about last week about our best. Just think about it. If it's not your goal and if it's not something you're truly 100% passionate about, I encourage you to raise the flag and say, you know what? I appreciate the input. I appreciate the advice, whoever it might be that's giving it to you, and just say, you know what? Can I just offer you what some of my goals are? And just be honest, right? Why would you waste 6 months to a year to 2 years to 5 years, whatever it might be, whether it's schooling or a career change or whatever it might be? Why would you waste that time if it's something that you know isn't for you, that you know you're not going to be wholly committed to? So again, one of the reasons why people don't achieve their goals is it's not their goal. I've had people sit there and say, oh, Christopher, back when I first started doing the Kickass thing and wearing the bandana, everybody was saying, oh, Christopher, you shouldn't do that. You should go back to suit and tie speaking, and, you'll be incredible at it. You can't do the Kickass thing and everything. But that was their goal. That was their vision of me. And that's what they wanted for me. They wanted to see me successful, which is great. But I in turn said, you know what, listen, I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate the advice, and I know it's in my best interest. But quite honestly, I want to live my life. I want to be me. I want to do me, right? My friend JB Glossinger over at morningcoach.com said, if I'm going to fail at something, I'm going to fail at something that I love to do. Because honestly, we know from you guys following me, failure isn't a thing. It's just a situation that we go through, and whether we learn from it or not, if we learn from it, then great. It's a learning opportunity. It's a stepping stone. But if we think we fail and we let it get to us and we let it bring us down and we let it hold us back, then yeah, it's a failure because we let it down, right? Failure is not the falling down. Failure is the staying down. Let me repeat that. Failure is not the falling down. It's the staying down. So again, if it's not your goal, do not go after it. All right. Another reason why people don't achieve their goals, they're not consistent. I was talking to my wife the other day and she says, one of my goals this year is to remain consistent. I'm like, that's a fucking rad goal, because we know how it is. You start the year off, you make a list of things and you're like, yes, I'm going to be committed. I'm going to do this. I'm going to really stick to it this year. And then what happens? A special event comes up. You go travel, you go out to dinner. It's somebody's birthday. It's somebody's wedding, whatever it might be, given the situation that you're working on. And then you kind of go, well, you know what? I'll just take a break, or I deserve a special day, or I do this. Well, you take that momentum and then you go back to your comfort zone. And what does your body do? Your body goes, oh, that's familiar. Oh, God, this feels good. You know what? Since it's only Friday, I'm just going to go ahead and take a break until Monday. Then I'll start back on Monday, whatever it might be. You have to remain consistent. If you guys followed me last year, you guys know in September, I did 75 hard, 75 days of a bunch of stuff, but I had to be consistent. That was my word, right? I had to keep my word to remain consistent, but I didn't have anybody checking on me. And that was a true test to know that I still have it in such a way, but you have to be consistent with whatever it is you're doing. If you're trying to save money, you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to eat better, you're trying to do a career change, you're trying to clear the clutter, you have to remain consistent. Because when we talk about habits, right? They usually say, oh, you have to do something like 21 times for it to be a habit. But realistically, you have to do things like 70 times, because you have to get over the initial, okay, this is a new thing. And then you get into the part, it starts to become a habit, but it has to be ingrained. It has to be almost like automatic. Like you can get in your car and you can drive to work and you don't really have to think about it. That's the way your new goal or the new way of life should really be. And that's another delineation we should look at, is it's not necessarily a goal. It's a life change, right? When you consider dieting, exercising, taking supplements, whatever it might be, that's a life change. That's not just a goal. That's a complete change in our outlook and our viewpoint of our life. And if you don't change that, then you're not going to be successful. So there's a little sub goal or a sub treat for you within that one. So again, if you're not consistent, then you're not going to be successful. So how do you stay consistent? You put it on your calendar, you make it a part of your daily regimen, you make it a must-to that you have to do it before you get to do anything else. It's like your top 3 things you got to do in the day. So if it's meal prepping or whatever it might be, there's lots of different situations, but you have to have a plan and you have to have consistency. So for me, I put it on my calendar. I put it on my task list every day. I review my goals. I have it on my calendar. So like if I'm supposed to work out, it's on my calendar. It's right there. It's like a doctor's appointment. If you got to be there, you got to be there. You're going to be there. So remain consistent about your goals. Give it time. You have to give it time. When you look back on your life and you think about some of the goals that you went after, did you not notice that if you didn't achieve it, you weren't consistent? And if you're not consistent, then the little devil on your shoulder starts going, see, you can't do it. You thought you could do it, but you can't. Doesn't that comfort zone look good over there? Right? Remain consistent, blood, sweat, and tears. This is what unstoppable is being about. If you want to be unstoppable, this is what it is. You have to get the fuck out of your comfort zone. You have to stop your bullshit excuses, and you have to remain consistent, because I promise you, when you remain consistent, you will get the results. You will get the results. You will get there. I have a meme in front of me. It shows the guy picking away at the gold, and he's like right there, and the other guy is like just a little further away, and he turns around and he says, I'm not going to be able to do it. But the other guy just needs to hit the axe one more time, and boom, he's found gold. And you think about that, how many times in your life have you been close to gold where you gave up? You probably don't even know. So I encourage you to stay consistent. That is super important. Another big situation, I bolded this one. Another big situation is that we have too many goals, right? You sit there and you're in December, you're in January, whatever it might be. And you're like, okay, I'm really going to get serious about these things. And you start labeling off like 5 different huge things. And you're like, I'm going to do it this time. I'm going to read every day. I'm going to drink a gallon of water every day. I'm going to walk for 30 minutes. I'm going to, log all my points. I'm going to log all my expenses, whatever it might be. Don't give yourself too much because you're going to get overwhelmed. Give yourself 3 things at the most that are like major components of something that you're doing new, so that you can focus on it, so you can give it all your time and attention. And if you happen to get them all done and you think you like have extra time, and you're like, well, maybe I should do 2 more. Don't. Do those 3 to your best ability and say, okay, phase 2, once I achieve a first benchmark in this particular goal, then if I'm comfortable, then I'm going to add this next goal, the next highest priority goal into my arsenal. This is a personal experience of mine. I always bite off more than I can chew. And then I'm in like panic mode. I'm always kind of like, okay, what am I going to do now? So I encourage you, and this is a note for me also, because I told you guys I listen to these and I watch these. Stop taking on too much. You have a full life. You have a full plate. Allow yourself some time for rest, recuperation. One thing I've started doing the last couple of years is I've gone back to reading. And for me to take time to sit down and do something that doesn't involve being productive, like in a sense of like physically doing something, that was hard for me, but I made it a commitment and I stay consistent, like 30 minutes. I tell who to set the timer for 30 minutes. I sit down and I read a book and I just take some time for me. And that feels awesome. And quite honestly, I do feel guilty sometimes, but the more I do it, the more I'm consistent with it, the less guilty I feel and the better I feel intellectually. And I feel better about myself because I give myself a break, right? Generally we jam and we do so much and we do so much for other people, but then we never do anything for ourselves, right? Kind of on a tangent, how I am, but don't have too many goals. Otherwise you're going to get overwhelmed. They're going to get diluted and you're going to get frustrated and then you're going to say, fuck it. And then you're going to, I'll just start over next month or something like that. And you won't, because you'll go back in your comfort zone and then you'll live in mediocrity and you'll be pissed off and you'll regret it, so on and so forth. Another problem that I find a lot of times with people is it's not specific enough. Like, oh, I'm going to lose weight next year. I'm going to make more money next year. Or I'm going to get rid of a bunch of stuff next year. If it's not specific, then you have no way of measuring yourself and challenging yourself. And more importantly, as part of your plan, saying, okay, whatever it is that I want to do, when do you want to do it by? And how much are you going to do each week, each month, each day? And then measure yourself. So for me, I weigh myself once a week. And I write it down on a dry erase board and I say, okay, my goal is this. I weigh myself every week. I write it down. I write down how much I've lost or how much I've gained, and I give it a time limit. So for me, by June 1st, I want to see my stomach. I want to see actually my abs a little bit. So I've set an example like, okay, I need to be between 200 and 205 pounds. I need to be about 16% body fat, if not 11% body fat. So I've got specific measurables in there and I know how to do it. I know what foods I need to avoid so I can do it. I just have to remain consistent. And that's what I'm talking about. But if you're not specific enough in your goal, then how do you know you're going to reach it? Right? So you have to be specific. I've told you guys before, you guys heard on the other podcast, but SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time specific. You guys can Google the crap out of it. It's all over the place, but it sets up a form for you to be consistent and to make sure that you're specific on your particular goals. You guys have heard me talk about this before, but I'm gonna reiterate it again. Your why. What is your why? It kind of ties back to the first one, which is not really your goal. What is your why? Again, working from the end backwards, what legacy do you want to set up for yourself? And what is your why? For me, I'm going through a lot of different things personally and professionally in my life. And my big why is financial freedom, personal freedom, health, and being a great dad. Those are my whys, because I want longevity. I want the ability to be an active role in my son's life. I don't want the stress of an everyday job. I don't want the stress of, all that stuff, but I love helping people. I love to work, but it's just, those are the commitments and those are the expectations that I have for myself at this part of my life. And I deserve it. I shouldn't have to go do things I don't want to do, because at the end of the day, what is that going to do? That's going to wear me out. That's going to make me frustrated. It's going to make me less of a person, less of a dad. And why? At the end of the day, we're not going to take anything with us. So again, what's your why? And when your why is there, you wake up every morning and you're passionate and you're committed and you're consistent and you're going to do it. That's what it is. But if your why isn't big enough and you haven't figured out your why yet, and you're just going through life, going through the motions, playing what I call the someday game. Oh, someday when this happens, I'm going to do that. Or someday when this person does this, then I'm going to do that. Someday when this is, there's not going to be every day for you, in the recent last couple of months, I've experienced a lot of friends and close people to me, going through death of sons, husbands, fathers, suicides, animals, you name it. I've seen it. We don't get every day. We get right now. We get the moments that we have right now. And that's the most important thing. If you died in 5 years, are you going to look back and say, wow, I'm really glad I grinded it out at a job that I hated for a person I hated for what? Right? Really think about that. Really, really think about that. What is your why? Commit to it, pick a couple of things, and don't give up, and do what you need to do to achieve those goals, because that's what unstoppable is being. That's what Kickass is. Kickass isn't about doing a bunch of stuff for other people, hoping, wishing, praying that it's going to give you results or give you happiness, because it's not. Trust me. I have placed a lot of my efforts in my life of making sure that people are happy and successful and they like me and all these different things, and they, just trying to make people's lives better. And quite honestly, the reciprocation factor on that has been pretty small, and that's kind of depressing in a way. So I know that moving forward in my life, I need to focus more on my happiness and my beliefs, and not waste, I shouldn't say waste, but I shouldn't invest so much time in other people when, we just got to make sure we're taking care of ourselves first, I guess is what I'm trying to say in a long way. But again, know your why. A lot of people want results first before they do the effort. They want to do a little bit, and they want to see a big effort. Like, okay, I'm going to do this weight loss program. I just keep going back to weight loss because a lot of things revolve around that. And it's a good analogy. Like, okay, I want to diet and exercise for the next 2 weeks, and I want to get on the scale, and I expect to lose 10 pounds, and you lose 1 pound, right? You're like, well, fuck, I did all that work. What the hell? That's bullshit. Why should I even bother trying? Well, what kind of foods did you eat? Did you log it all down? My recommendation is log it down at myfitnesspal.com. It's free. You log down all your points. You see what kind of protein you have every day, carbohydrates, sugars, sodium, fiber, protein. I mean, you need all that. You need to see where you're at. Are you getting enough protein? I know for me, I don't get enough protein. I'm lazy. I admit it. Hello. So I take my protein shakes, and I'm eating more chicken lately, and I'm really increasing that, but I'm also monitoring it and making sure that I am doing that, because when I was doing it before, I was shocked as shit to find out how much sodium is in everything. So I'm sitting there saying, okay, I'm going to lose weight, but I'm eating everything with sodium, supposedly because it's light and fat free. But I was gaining weight because of the water I was drinking. I was retaining it. So again, you have to be smart about these things, and not smart, the acronym. You have to go online. You have to figure out, what is the best opportunity for me to do X? And research it. You have to take responsibility for it. I hope you're not just watching me and saying, okay, what does Chris say this week? Just go Google stuff. You guys have heard me say that over and over again. It fucking blows my mind when people are like, I don't know how to do that. There's literally nothing on the internet you can't find. I don't know what people's excuses are. For me, I'm constantly Googling. I'm constantly researching, sometimes overboard, but I'm informed, and I'm able to do things and make progress in my life and success in my life, because otherwise I wouldn't be on this side of the camera and this side of the microphone telling you guys what are the components of being successful, right? So you got to think about it that way. If you want the results before the effort, that's ridiculous. You got to think about Navy SEALs, right? When they go into the military and they want to become a Navy SEAL, do they get the result before they give the effort? No. You got to think about that in life. You got to train for a triathlon before you win the triathlon, before you can place in the triathlon. So again, you have to look at those things, and it's important to have milestones. Like, okay, by 3 months from now, I should have lost 15 pounds. And when I lose 15 pounds, then I get to go out for a nice steak dinner. I get to go out to my favorite restaurant. So there you have something that's specific. You have something that's measurable. It's achievable. It's time specific, and you get a bonus prize at the end of that. But if you want results without the effort, that's ridiculous. And that's what 75 Hard reminded me of, is that you have to go through that, because the results on that were pretty spectacular. I was very focused. I was very committed. I was very regimented. Some days really sucked, but I slept really good. And fortunately, I did it before my recent bout with back problems again, but that's another story. Fortunately, the last couple of days have been awesome. I got an injection on Thursday, side note, and doing pretty good. But yeah, anyways, let's stick to the program. Let's see. This is a big one. This is a big one. Lack of support from those who are closest to you. I helped out somebody one time who wanted to quit smoking and got them to quit smoking actually pretty quickly. It was pretty surprising. But I said, okay, what are your triggers? What are the things or who are the people that might get you in a situation where you might be inclined to smoke again? Like for myself, when I smoked, I knew if I drank and got around certain people, I would smoke. That was just kind of like the thing. So, think about that. But if you don't have the support from those closest to you, your friends, like if you want to quit drinking or quit smoking and you go hang out with your friends, they're like, come on, just have a beer, just have a cigarette. It's no big deal. It's just one day. Who's going to know about it? You need to stay away from those people. Even if you think you're going to have the willpower and you're like, I'm not going to do it. Sure enough, you're going to get in that situation. Nobody's going to be around. You're going to be wanting a good time. You're going to be like, all right, I've kind of done things good for a while. And then you're going to backslide. Then you're going to feel like shit. And then you're going to punish yourself. Like, see, I'm not worth it. I shouldn't do it. Why the fuck do I try? Tell me if you haven't heard that anymore. If you guys are watching this live, can I get an amen? Can I get a raw truth? Right? Just be honest. What are your triggers? Like for me, when I quit drinking one time, I could not go bowling. It was about a time where we used to go bowling every couple of weeks and have fun. I'm like, I can't go bowling without drinking. And that was a statement I put in my head, which was stupid at the time. It's like, yeah, you can go bowling without drinking. That's ridiculous. But I prefer to have a couple of beers when I'm bowling. It's fun. So again, think about those situations. But if those are closest to you, if you're living in a house full of people and you're saying, okay, listen, I want to cut out sugar for the next 6 months and everybody around you is eating cookies, that is challenging. Now you can't tell those people not to eat cookies, but what you can do is you can sit there and say, okay, listen, can you please put the sweets in your office? Can you please put the sweets in your bedroom? Can you please put the sweets in the garage? Can you put them someplace out of sight? And if you enjoy them, can you do them without me being in your presence? It's not a lot to ask for, and you should ask for that. And you say, listen, I need support. This is important to me. This is something I want to do. And here's what I need from you. And here's the key thing I want you guys to capture from this. If the person tells you to fuck off and that, oh, whatever, that's your problem. That's not my goal. If you want to be Mr. Perfect or Mrs. Perfect, all that other shit. If they say anything that resembles that gets your blood pressure going, then you really need to consider getting different people. That is the God's honest truth. Because if you're trying to become unstoppable, you're trying to have a kick-ass life, you're trying to achieve results, you're trying not to have any regrets, yet you've got an audience that is the closest to you that is trying to sabotage you or weigh you down to not see you successful because it reminds them of their own inadequacies, their own laziness, fuck them. Sorry. That's where I'm getting to in this life is like either people are with you or they're against you. I mean, there's no two ways. They can kind of be on the sidelines like, yeah, maybe I'll root for you. It's ridiculous. It's funny. I saw a meme the other day that said, people think you're insane or think your goals are stupid or insane until they come true. And then guess what? They want to be your friend. I mean, think about it. Think about how many people said, I'm going to start a business and their friends and family are like, oh, that's stupid. Why in the fuck you want to do that? Then after their first couple $100,000, who's knocking on the door? Hey buddy, what's up? Hey, listen, my water pump broke. Can you lend me a couple $100? Right? Then people all of a sudden think you're fucking brilliant. So really take a look at the 5 people, and you guys have heard me talk about this before. Take a look at the 5 people you're around the most and just write next to them, positive or negative. Like immediately, do they make you feel positive? Do they support you? Do they hold you accountable? Do they tell you the truth? Or are they complacent and kind of say, oh yeah, come on over and hang out with me, party with me. Don't try to get better. If those are the kind of people, then you need to get the different people in your life, or strongly advise you to get around a mastermind group or a coach that can keep you balanced and equalized during those situations and give you tips like, okay, listen, I'm going to a family reunion. Everybody there drinks like a fucking fish. What do I do? What's my perspective? How do I hang on? What tips do you have for me? And there's lots of different things that I can help contribute to people in order for them to be a success in lots of different situations. So if you're in a situation, I encourage you to reach out to me, Christopher at ChristopherRausch.com, and just say, hey, Chris, I've got this goal I'm working on. What do you think are my best tips for making sure it's successful? I'm happy to help you guys. That's the truth. Let's see, what do we got? Of course, we got fears. And one of the big things that I bolded here is also something we don't think about that much is the fear of success, right? Have you planned for the success that you want to go after? Have you thought about what's going to happen to your life if you make a career change and suddenly you're making more money, or suddenly that you might be transferred to a different location? Have you talked about those things with your spouse? Like, okay, hey, listen, I'm going to apply for a job here, but there's a big chance I'm going to get transferred to corporate in Oregon. What do you think? Because what's going to happen is, lo and behold, you're going to get the job. They're going to say, hey, great, we're going to move you to Oregon. You're going to be like, oh, okay, let me go talk to my spouse. And they're like, hell no, I don't want to do that. And then you have to make a decision. Do you want the spouse or do you want the job? Most likely, most of us are going to pick the spouse, and then we're not going to pick the job, and then we're going to be miserable. So realistically, you have to plan for the success. You have to think about, okay, what's my jumping off point? If you're becoming an entrepreneur, how much money do I need to have in the bank? Things of that nature. Have your success planned out, and know that you want it for the right reasons. It's not an egoic reason. It's actually your big why. You know, you have to consider those things. Fear of failure, judgment, not good enough. All that stuff is based on your perspective about your past. It's all based on shit that happened to you and the belief systems that you associated with those events as being negative. It's like, you know, when you're a kid in school, like, oh, you know, Christopher got a F on his fucking history paper. Oh, Christopher, you suck. You know, oh, Christopher tried out for the baseball team. He sucked. He didn't get it. Wow, Christopher tried for a lot of things and didn't make them. Well, maybe Christopher tried out for the wrong things. Maybe Christopher shouldn't have that mindset, because if you have that mindset of like, damn, I don't want to fail again. I don't want to make a mistake. You know, I've told all these people I'm going to do this and I don't want to have egg on my face. Don't worry about that, because again, as long as you don't stay down when you fall down and you get back up and you say, okay, well, there's another way. I learned not to do it. Then you're ahead of the game. And if you keep doing that, when you keep doing that, it starts building momentum, and that momentum builds confidence, and that confidence builds desire, and that desire builds an excitement to keep doing it. And you just keep doing it, and you start building that momentum, and then you're unstoppable, right? But if you do something, you go, oh shit, there it is again. And you kind of go back into your own comfort zone. Guess what? The years are going to go by. The hoping, wishing, and praying is going to go by, and you're going to be 80 years old, 70 years old, 60 years old, whatever it is. And you're going to be looking down at your hands, realizing you're old, and you're going to go, fuck, I wasted my life. Right? So think about those things, those fears. I mean, the book I've told you guys before, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. Amazing book. Fear is all up in here. It's just a control thing. Just let it go. Surrender to that and say, you know what? I'm not afraid. I'm excited, because literally they're the same emotions. So that's my thought on that. Lack of planning. We kind of touched on that before, but it's amazing how many people I talked to already this year, and they said, oh, I've got some big goals and da, da, da. And I simply ask them, are they written down? And they're like, some of them are yes, some of them are no. When I ask them if they're written down, I'm like, are they in a spot where you can see them every day, where you can review them every day? Are you reviewing them every week? Are you holding yourself accountable? Are you looking at the measurables? No, I've got it up in here. I'll know where I'm at. Okay. And if I know the person and I know their past history, I know they're setting themselves up for failure. But that's another thing. You know, the sad part of it is that most people will plan a tailgate party and a vacation more than they'll plan for their retirement, more than they'll plan for anything else. It's amazing how much people will put into all those things. But then when you ask them about how much planning they've done with their life, especially with their spouse or their partner or anything, they haven't done it. You know, when you think about, I mean, as a side note, you think about your parents aging. Do you know what their bank account numbers are? Do you know where their insurance paper is? Lack of planning, poor planning will get you screwed. So like your resolutions and your goals and everything, they have to be written down. You know, get yourself a cheap little book. Keep it in there. Write down daily actions. I mean, it's simple. You just have to keep doing it. You have to be consistent about it. You have to you see how these all build on each other, ladies and gentlemen, they all build on each other. Not resourceful enough. Again, it goes back to, oh, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to save money. I need more money to do this. I don't know how to do that. You got to be resourceful. What can you sell? What additional revenue streams can you bring in? Can you start doing Instacart? Can you start picking up groceries or picking up dog shit or whatever it is that you might need to be doing? You can do it. You just have to want it bad enough, and you have to not give up, and you have to not settle for your stupid excuses anymore. You have to say, okay, what have other people in this situation done to achieve these goals, right? Not everybody has started off with all the answers and all the money and everything, but guess what? Once you go through that resourceful part, and once you stay committed and you get through to the end and you achieve that goal, guess what? You're on fire. Yeah, you're on fire. You're like, oh shit, I was in my own way the whole time. I was telling somebody the other day, they said, what is one of your greatest accomplishments? And I said, oddly enough, I said, one of the greatest accomplishments is when I can look at somebody who's been stuck for a really long time, and I can say something in such a way that they actually go, wow, Chris, I never thought about it that way. So that's my goal. And that's my job with doing the show. That's my job with being a coach and a consultant, is I got to get you guys to see things differently. I have to get you associated with the pain first, because pain is the greatest leverage. Pain is the greatest leverage, which leads me to another tip. And it's a big one. It's a controversial one, but if you don't have skin in the game, then how do you really expect to make it? Skin in the game is like burning the boats. Like if you're going to go to an island and you're like, okay, I'm going to go to the island to check it out and maybe come live here. It's a figure of speech, of course. Burn the boat. You're going to live there. You're going to have to figure it out. You will survive, right? And I think about all the things I've done in my life, and sometimes I get scared or I start thinking about stuff and get apprehensive or concerned. And I immediately go back to them like, Chris, you've been through so much in your life. And guess what? Every single time, no matter what, you've come out of it. So why would this time be any different? Go through this opportunity. Yeah, there's fear and uncertainty and scarcity and blah, 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 all this other shit. But guess what? Either way, you're going to come out on the other side with your feet on the ground going, holy shit, what a ride. Look at all the things I learned. Look at the success I achieved, or look at whatever it might be. And then you learn and you continue growing. Now, for some of us who are older, that becomes a little bit more daunting, because we're like, okay, I should just try to stay safe and keep it all where it's at because I don't want to lose anything. And that's a big problem too, is that we're afraid if we go make a risk that we're going to lose what we've already gained, but you don't really lose. You gain up in here, right? You know, think about the people who have had to file bankruptcy 3 times in their life, and now their business is worth $20 million. I mean, that's the risk you have to take. You have to keep taking those learning lessons and keep pushing and keep striving, because at the end of the day, you're going to look back on your life, and even if you don't make all of them, you're going to look back on your life and say, holy shit, man, I took a risk here. I took a risk here. I fought there. You know, yeah, I could have played it safe and had more money and had the house or whatever. But at the end of the day, you're going to look back on your life and say, holy shit, man, I fucking came here and experienced some stuff. I tried. I didn't live complacent. I didn't live safe. I didn't live in fear. I took chances and I created a legacy that I'm proud of, whatever that might be. So pain is the greatest motivator. So think on your life, you know, what would be most painful for you if you were, you know, on your deathbed and you were looking back in your life? What would be the most painful thing for you? That you didn't contact somebody, that you didn't pursue a dream, that you didn't finish a hobby, didn't have a certain career, didn't achieve a certain status, whatever it might be. Use that pain today as your why. Get a plan together, stay consistent, have accountability partners, get the right people in your life, stay resourceful, stay hungry, and stay committed, and you will achieve whatever it is that you put in front of yourself. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't do too much. Don't bite off too much. Some breaks, have a good balance in your life. But most of all, realistically, you need accountability. So that's my final tip, is really making sure, you know, we all have friends. Hopefully a few of us have best friends and confidants in our life, our mentors. Make sure you have a mentor. Make sure you have a success coach. Make sure you have somebody who's going to hold your ass to the fire when you come back and say, oh, I didn't have time last week. And they say, tell me what your week was like. And they start saying, well, this and that. And like, how much sleep did you get? Oh, I got my 8 hours. What else did you do? Oh my God, I caught this new show on Netflix. I wound up watching 4 episodes. Okay, listen, jackass. You said this was important. You didn't say anything about Netflix. Listen, motherfucker, next week, you're going to do double the work and you're going to prove it to me and you're going to give me a report every day. So there's accountability. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's like, who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? But that's what having coaches about. That's what having accountability partners is all about. I have an accountability partner with a few people, and they hold my ass to the fire. Like, Chris, you said you were going to do this. And I'm smart and I'm able to say, well, you know, I did this and this and this instead, you know, trying to offset it. But they're like, Chris, no, you said you were going to do this, but you didn't. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I apologize. I said I was going to do that. So let me make it up and let me do that. And then next week, the following week, I'll be like, okay, shit, Chris, don't get distracted. You need to do this. You don't want to go back to your accountability partner and go, yeah, I know I said I was going to do it again, but oh my God, I got done, you know, the silver or the shiny bucket syndrome, whatever it might be. Have those people in your life. I guarantee you that's going to be the best and the greatest success factor for many of us. I have coaches. I've had coaches for the last, I don't know, since 2015, I think. And my experience and my success level is exponentially higher and better than it would have been if I just did it on my own. Now, for a little bit right now, I'm back on doing things my own a little bit, you know, the podcast, the coaching, the consulting, the videos, things of that nature. I've been doing that. So, but I've also had coaches. I have my mentors and everything. And my point is that if I can do it, you can do it. If I can go from being a homeless 7th grade dropout, living in the backseat of a station wagon, to getting my master's degree, to being where I'm at in my life, spiritually, emotionally, physically, I'm pretty proud of that. I have lived a kick-ass life, and I'm not afraid to say that. I have a lot more work to do, and I have a lot more things that I want to succeed in. But the truth is, I'm proud of myself. And if I died tomorrow, God forbid, I would be proud of the legacy I lived. You can go online, you can look at my posts, you can look at my videos, and you can see that Christopher Rausch was about being yourself, was about being consistent, was being kick-ass, smart ass, whatever you want to call me. I'm good with it now. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have been good with passing away. Not that I'm ready to, because I got a whole lot of stuff. I just came up with an idea the other day to start a nonprofit organization to teach kids life skills. It was like, fuck, that would be awesome. Hey, I'll have a school and start teaching them online, teaching them in person. These kids need life skills, right? So it's just another thing that popped into my head. I'm like, okay, maybe that's a phase 3 thing in my life. Right now I'm focused on coaching and consulting and got some other things in the pipeline, but that's my point, is I'm excited about it. And I want you to be excited about your stuff. So hit me up, Christopher at ChristopherRausch.com. I'm here for you guys. Don't forget to get in the Raw Unscripted group on Facebook. We interact there on the weekly basis, and I invite you to do this. If you post something in the Raw Unscripted group, or you post something on Facebook and you tag me in it, and it's a goal and you're asking for some advice, or you're saying, here's my update, feel free to tag me in that, and I'll come in and I'll offer some advice if it's a situation or a problem, or give you some kudos. But again, I'm here to help you guys. And for those of you guys who are really interested in achieving your goals, again, hit me up, Christopher at ChristopherRausch.com. We can do a 45-minute discovery call, and we can see if working together is good for both of us. I take a very limited amount of one-on-one clients. Getting ready to launch the group coaching again here pretty soon. I haven't picked a definitive date. But anyways, if you're interested in coaching with me, if you're interested in truly making a success of your life and getting out of your own way and stopping your excuses and living a life without regrets, hit me up. I'm here for you. We're going to make it happen. All right. So I love you guys. Special love and thanks to the Speaking to the Heart podcast network. We send our love and our prayers out to our brother Shane, who's struggling right now. But again, for all of you guys out there supporting the Kickass Guide to Life, supporting the Raw Unscripted show, for supporting me, for being there for me personally and professionally, I love you guys. I really appreciate it. So let's truly commit to making it a Kickass 2020. Don't forget the hashtag Kickass 2020. And don't forget just to follow your dreams and be yourself. And every single day, please do something that makes the world a better place. All right. I love you guys. Peace out. Until next time, stay kick-ass, Cincinnati. All right. We love you. Bye.